Bonjour from France. No, I'm not in France. I'm still in sunny old Barnsley. So, moving on from my previous video, if you haven't already watched that yet, go back and watch that video first, which was reviewing the Two Bros NPC qualifier show day as a competitor. So this video, I'm going to be running through my opinion and thoughts around the Two Bros NPC Natural World Finals, if I can get that right, and what I thought of it as a women's bodybuilding athlete and how that went. This was a very different experience, some good, some bad, from the qualifier in Maidenhead in London. So let's get straight into it. Getting straight into it then. So, going from the booking process, I guess, again. So the booking process was super easy and simple. You do, obviously, for any Two Bros show, you have to have an NPC membership for the full year. So that covers you for both shows or any other shows you do in that year. So I had that already. I travelled from the UK to France on the Eurotunnel, which is not really anything to do with the actual show itself, but it does make it really easy because it's in Lille. The show is in Lille at the Grand Palais, or it was last year, and it made it super easy to drive with everything in the car, including the air fryer and everything else that I needed for the show. A quick sort of drive down to Calais and to Dover, and then a ferry, a Eurotunnel or a ferry, but we took the Eurotunnel over to Calais and get off there. It was super easy just to get straight on the sort of like multi-lane motorway thing that they have there, and then within about 40 minutes, maybe more, 50 minutes, I was in Lille at our accommodation and we were settled basically. So that was really, really good and a really great experience. So when I arrived at the Airbnb, when I got there, that was around, I think that was 3 or 4 days before the show, so I gave myself plenty of time to settle into my sort of surroundings, routine, and my body to settle a little bit, pull back on the carbs, travelling, so that all went great. I was feeling pretty relaxed, and the reason I'm telling you this is because there was a point where I didn't feel relaxed, thanks to Two Bros and the tanning company, which was Pro Tan. So, you know, I've arrived in France. I've still not heard anything back about the tanning, and this is now Thursday. I'm getting quite nervous, thinking, am I having tan on the Friday? Like normally you would always have the tan the day before the show, right? So this was Thursday. I'm still nothing back from them, from Pro Tan, who are meant to be, you know, the best of the best, right? So I got on the case, got on Instagram, got on emails, every communication platform I could think of. Nothing, absolutely nothing, and waited, and it got to, I think I'd been emailing them all week actually, and then it got to Thursday night at 9 o'clock, so thinking, well, am I going for a tan on Friday or not? And ended up contacting Ian from Two Bros directly, and I said, what is happening? He came back to me at 10 o'clock on Thursday night saying, well, your tan's going to be on Saturday actually. And I was like, oh, okay. So no actual official communication with Pro Tan, even on Instagram. It was pretty poor. All they said was to email this address, which I had been doing all week and still not got anything back. So it was just an absolute waste of time and made me as an athlete just really nervous. Anyway, so there was no athlete registration at this show on the Friday like there had been in Maidenhead. So I went Saturday morning. The only thing I did to prep for this show day was just to make sure I went to the venue, I think on the Thursday, just to find out where it was, what the parking situation was like, which was actually really good to be fair, and the venue was really nice. But yeah, so arrived on Saturday for registration. That was pretty easy. The judges were really nice and friendly. I still didn't really know at this point if the tan was actually going to be like happening. Like, I didn't know, and I was panicking, thinking, am I going to have to go and buy some tan on show day? So my advice would be, in this situation, to probably tan yourself. Make sure you take tan with you. That was what I would say, 100%. So yeah. So I went round to ProTan, to the tanning booth, and I went, look, am I actually booked in for a tan? They said yes at 11:30. So bear in mind, I'm about as white as this t-shirt right now, and I'm going on stage at about 2-3 o'clock. And they're telling me it's going to be 11:30 before they tan me, and I'm just panicking, like my head's like exploding. So I thought, okay, fine, at least I'm on the list. So obviously just checked in and waited, and then went for the tan. There were loads of other people that looked like they'd not been tanned, so I thought, well, this must be the norm in this situation then. So yeah, had the tan done, first coat, and then I was worried about it not settling, but it did. And then before stage I went back, I think I went back around 1:30, a couple of hours later, had another coat of tan. The only thing was, with it not like drying overnight, every time I went to the toilet, being a female, like I managed to catch myself. So I honestly would just do my own next time. So yeah, moving forwards to actually backstage area, that was much more improved, like an upgrade from the Maidenhead show. So there was an athlete area and it was great. We had lighting. I did my makeup back there just to save time in the morning, because I had to check in about 8 o'clock in the morning. So just to save myself getting up too early, I did my makeup at the actual venue, which was pretty nice. We got to chat to all the other girls and stuff. The only downside was that they wouldn't let other people that was with you, like my partner, they wouldn't let him into the athlete registration area. So I was in there and doing my makeup and he was sat outside. But the other downside was the outside area, where it's like absolutely huge, like on the sort of balcony area, there was no chairs at all, absolutely no chairs. And like they wouldn't let us take any of the chairs in the athlete area, which was pretty empty by the way, into the other area for the people who was with you. So they had to sit on the floor. I mean, it was okay for athletes because you generally laid down on the floor with your legs up anyway, but yeah, so that was pretty poor. Again, if you wanted to watch the show, you had to go and buy a ticket for 35 or 45 euros, something silly per person. I'm not going to pay, you know, like the show fees for this were £210. The tanning was, I think, like 120 or something. It was, you know, quite a step up from the Maidenhead show. The costs were a lot higher. So they were about double. So I didn't really want to be paying for tickets as well, just so I could sit on a chair. So we just didn't bother, but maybe that's me being from Yorkshire and being tight, I don't know. Anyway, so the tanning people were really good when I actually got the tan done, and they kept like touching it up, and the stage glaze was really good backstage as well. They would like do unlimited amounts of glaze if you'd paid for that, so that was good. So going to the backstage area then, backstage was pretty good, the vibe was good, all the people were really friendly. Obviously that's down to the competitors, and like the area was quite big. Obviously you take your own bands and weights and stuff. It was easy to find at the venue and quite clearly signposted. But then I actually ended up pumping up for an hour and a half. The judges didn't really seem that bothered that I was meant to be on stage at whatever time it was, about 3 or something, 3:30. They didn't really seem to care that I'd started pumping up and that I was still pumping up, and I kept asking what was happening and if I was on next, and I was like the first, so I was the first, to give context, I was the first person after the break. So they'd broke for the like interval, and then they were having like a bit of food and drinks and whatnot, and I was the first category after the break, so I assumed that would be like half an hour, but I waited an hour and a half, and they were just walking around backstage really blasé, like, oh yeah, we'll just have a sandwich and this and chatting, and I kept asking what was going on, and they kept telling me it was be like in 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. In the end, I had to stop pumping up, take on some more carbs. I had no one backstage with me, like coach or whatever, and ended up like having to do like 2 lots of pump ups in a way, which was really not ideal, and I believe that did affect my volume of muscle and condition a little bit on stage. I looked a little bit flat because I've been pumping up for so long, and I was really sore the day after, so I must have been really going at it. I was just doing steady and slow pump ups, but still an hour and a half. I'm not buying that that is professional for a world finals, so that was the downside of that. But all in all, I think there's been pros and cons between the review of, so reviewing both shows, the qualifier and the world finals in France. I think there was pros and cons to both. The tan wasn't great in France, but it was great in Maidenhead. I think the overall consistency of the registering for the show for both was really good, and the instructions from Two Bros themselves leading up to both shows about what was going to happen, the stage music and everything else, that was all really good, and the uploading process for your MP3 files was actually really good, but it let them down when I was pumping up for an hour and a half, to be honest, at the world finals. And just generally the athlete areas for both shows wasn't ideal. So yeah, I do feel like it was a bit of a money-making thing in terms of trying to get you to buy the stage, the show tickets. Obviously, I know they have to make money, but when you've paid, £210 to compete, you would think you might get a free ticket for the actual show as well. So yeah, that's my two penneth and thoughts around the Two Bros NPC qualifier in the previous video and in this video in the world finals. If anyone's got any questions about the Two Bros shows and wants to chat to me about the process or anything that's involved in it, then please just let me know. I'm always open to chatting, either on here in the comments or on my Instagram at Colette_Evans_photo. I'll link that below. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. As per usual, please like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Do appreciate it, and I'm aiming to bring you content weekly on this channel now. I've had a nice little break, and yeah, lots going on this year, so please keep watching, and I will see you in the next one.